Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN-TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. We begin this morning at City Hall, where tension between City Council and Mayor Brandon Johnson reached a fever pitch this week following a months-long debate over ShotSpotter. The mayor hanging on to his campaign promise to end Chicago's contract with the gunshot detection technology. But 33 City Council members voted to rebuke him, turning control over the contract to CPD Superintendent.
To leave our communities in a lurch, to tell families that we were not willing to pay to keep their loved ones safe, that their lives didn't matter enough for us to continue.
I don't know how to consciously go back to my community and say that we don't have an alternative, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I think the police department needs to understand what the tool is. If you ask them, do I need the tool? Of course they're going to tell you that they need the tool. The question is, how is the tool being used? And quite frankly, the tool is not being used properly.
I have yet to have one person tell me, well, we're looking at this piece of tech, or we're looking at this, or we're looking at this. And folks, everybody who's getting paid big money in this city, in this building, I've asked about it.
I would ask that you keep this in place until we come up with another way.
Mayor Johnson calls the council vote illegal, promising to veto the measure, and so he argues that the vote is most likely meaningless anyways. The city's corporation council says the legislative branch doesn't have the power to compel the executive branch to act. That means, as of now, Chicago police will stop getting ShotSpotter alerts at midnight tonight. Now, tomorrow, Sound Thinking, that's the company, says they'll start dismantling ShotSpotter devices around the city.
It's really more about the holistic approach. I've made a commitment to not just have, helicopters, license plates, readers. We're open to technology, but it has to be technology that works. So it's not just simply about redirecting it. It's about making sure that the people of Chicago are getting what they deserve.
Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins joins me this morning to talk about the vote and what's next and some other things. Good to see you, Alderman.
Good morning, Paul. Thanks for having me.
So, okay, as I said, ShotSpotter goes offline midnight tonight. You've debated at length whether or not this technology does what it's supposed to do. There's disagreements over that. It looks like each side has their own interpretations, but the bottom line is, do you have enough votes to override what is the mayor's veto here?
We need 34 votes, and the legislation that we passed last week in City Council passed with 33. So can't get much closer than that. We're one vote away. There were 3 of our colleagues who could not attend the City Council meeting for various reasons. So it is a question. Is there that 34th vote somewhere out there in our remaining colleagues who have not weighed in on this?
But
we'll have to see.
The political pressure on the veto vote is a bit different, right?
It is, and it's actually high stakes for the mayor. No Chicago mayor has implemented veto power in almost 20 years now. It's very rare.
They don't usually have to.
They usually don't have to, and it's considered embarrassing and humiliating for a mayor to have a veto overridden, and no mayor would want to take that risk, so why not negotiate? Why not work things out, which is traditionally what's happened? But we're at an impasse here. I just don't see how the majority of the City Council can persuade this mayor to change his mind and to reverse his campaign pledge to shut down ShotSpotter. He's been unwilling to do that.
So I know you're not in the mayor's mind, but I'm curious. He did make a campaign promise that he would get rid of this. So do you think the primary motivator is that? Or is it about saving money in the face of this growing budget deficit? Or is it about protecting the power of the mayor?
At various points, the mayor has leaned on all of those potential justifications. So at any given moment, there's a variety of reasons he can use to explain why he's being so stubborn and intransigent on this. But my point to him has been, and I've had this conversation with him, when he was a candidate for mayor, he did not have access to all the information that he has today as the mayor. We did not have access to all the data that's been compiled in the last year, where we changed the way ShotSpotter was collecting and analyzing the data that shows their performance. New information has been brought to light, and all of that new information, without exception, makes the case that ShotSpotter is an effective tool that law enforcement needs in the wake of this epidemic of gun violence that plagues us.
Obviously, the media plays a role here in covering all of this. the aldermen talk about aldermanic prerogative, that we're voting the view of our constituents. We have to do that. But doesn't the mayor have an argument to say, but I've been elected by the entire city, so I'm keeping my promise to that audience?
Well, there's a legitimate point to be made that we have two co-equal branches of government. He's the executive branch. We are the legislative branch. We are co-equal. However, and this is an important point, under our charter, under our municipal system of governance, the city council is considered a strong council. We actually have a slight edge when it comes to policy making, when it comes to the final say in policy disputes. It's considered a strong council, weak mayor system as opposed to the other way around. So if we're going to get into this dispute where one branch wants one thing, the other branch, clear majority, wants the other, ultimately it should be resolved in favor of the city council because we have that slight edge in power over the mayor.
You know, your colleague Pat Dowell of the 3rd Ward said during that meeting, we saw a clip of it, that we ought to keep that system in place until an alternative can be found. In fact, you could hear applause erupt in the council chambers when she said that. I'm sort of curious. The mayor says they're looking for alternative technology. You're involved in this. What is the alternative technology? What is being looked at here? Or is it like, no, it's got to be ShotSpotter. That's what we got.
ShotSpotter and their parent company, Sound Thinking, they do have some proprietary equipment that they've developed over the years. That isn't to say there aren't other systems out there that have the capability of audio detection of gunfire. I've heard from a couple of different companies that have contacted us and said, hey, we can do what ShotSpotter does. Well, that's fine. We have a tradition in Chicago of putting out what we call requests for proposals, RFPs, where we say we're looking for any company that can fill this need, any other company that can do something like this. Come and tell us who you are, what you do, and what your price is, and then we compare them and we take the best deal at the lowest price. So if the mayor wants to go in that direction, ShotSpotter themselves have said they're perfectly willing to compete and put their qualifications in their system up against any other potential system that's out there and may the best system win.
The mayor's reference to Sound Thinking, and I quote, he calls it sort of corporate greed in their pursuit of this new contract. But of course, they offered a discount. I think it was 48% off for the next 15 months. That didn't seem to work. The mayor's view seems to be that the money needs to go directly into violence-impacted communities. Can you talk about how you parse helping the neighborhoods versus giving police the tools they need to do their jobs?
Yeah, we shouldn't compete against different types of approaches to solving crime and gun violence. There's the community intervention-based approach that we involve faith leaders and we involve local ministers and reverends. We have after-school programs. We do interventions. We do all of that. That's important. So is law enforcement. So is arresting repeat violent offenders. So is allowing the justice system to prosecute criminals who cause harm in those communities. We shouldn't compete one against the other, and we shouldn't say one is superior to the other. They're both necessary. ShotSpotter obviously falls in the realm of law enforcement and prosecution, and the police tell us it's a necessary tool to helping turn the corner on the epidemic of gun violence. As a matter of fact, that's one valuable data point ShotSpotter provides. Undisputable proof about how many bullets are flying through the air on an annual basis in the city of Chicago. We've got 30,000 documented incidents of gunshots being fired in 2024 alone. That's a staggering amount of violence on the streets of Chicago, and we wouldn't know that total if it wasn't for ShotSpotter.
Well, your passion there is also matched by the passion you use. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, your public comments about saying, look, we can resort to the courts if we need to, and you made that point. So give us an update. Didn't look like you did it by the end of the week. Will the courts come into play? That takes time, that takes money, and the city's got to deal with this issue.
Yeah, that's a last resort for all of us. You know, the mayor's attorneys and the corporation counsel's office have talked about possibly suing ShotSpotter if, in fact, they go dark at midnight tonight, which they're threatening to do. We, as a council and as a majority of the council, have attorneys advising us about what we might be able to do if we pass legally binding legislation that the mayor chooses to ignore. We may wind up in court. I hope we don't. Let's try to resolve this outside of a court.
Less than a minute left. A quick lightning round with you on a couple of things.
Sure.
There's a subcommittee chaired by your colleague, Alderman Will Hall, looking for new sources of alternatives. Should the city get ready for new taxes, new fees?
Well, I'm not sure what the mayor's going to do with the property tax issue. That's another campaign promise that he made. He said he wasn't going to raise property taxes, and I hope he doesn't go back on that one. This committee was supposed to find alternatives to a property tax increase. They have yet to issue a report with any kind of recommendations. If there's some ideas out there that nobody's found yet, please bring them to the table. We need them now more than ever. We're facing a very severe budget deficit. We need more sources of revenue, but we also have to get a handle on spending.
All right. Lots more to talk to you about, but we're out of time. So, Alderman Brian Hopkins of the city's 2nd Ward, I thank you for your time this morning. Have a good Sunday. And we're going to take a quick break. Up next on WGN-TV Political Report, we're headed to Washington.
House Republican leadership has wasted 2 weeks, listening to Donald Trump's ridiculous claims on the campaign trail.
Is anyone on Capitol Hill willing to let the federal government shut down just weeks before Election Day? The latest funding fight in Congress with Representative Mike Quigley. And later this half hour, Chicago sports teams will be waiting a while for any action on their big asks from the Illinois State House. That and what else House Speaker Chris Welch says won't get a vote this year. We'll be right back.